What is light? What is darkness? Imagine if you were born without vision, completely blind. Imagine that your optic nerve were severed, let's just say, so no information could even get to your visual cortex in your brain. Would you be able to see anything ever? We have an inner vision. Would someone in that situation ever be able to see anything that could pass for hallucinations, imaginations, dreams, visualizations, or not? Do we need the history of having seen something first to be able to then form those inner visions? I don't know. Maybe there's an answer to that question. When we talk about light, at the beginning of the universe, as far as we know, as far as some people say, I don't know, everything was completely distilled down to one point of infinitely dense everything. There was no light, there was no darkness, there was no nothing. And then, boom, it exploded. And suddenly there was. And when I think about light, I think about stars. I think about the sun. And how the sun was formed was that over a very, very long time, little pieces of dust were just floating around in space. It was empty, dark, cold for a long time. And because of the fact that we have gravity, eventually some of these little pieces of dust were like, hey, oh, there's another piece of dust, oh, and then glommed onto itself. It took a really long time, I think, for that to happen. But eventually more and more stuff gathered, kind of like making a snowball. You get more and more pieces of snow on there and they stick together. Eventually, it became so much material that it started pressurizing itself because of gravity. And the pressure became so intense that the molecules and the particles, the matter, started heating up, smashing into itself, and eventually started giving off explosions. As we know, the sun is just one giant fiery ball that explodes. And the weird wiggling stuff that happens in the frequencies of the electromagnetic whatever is light. And our eyes are tuned to see it in that wavelengths, on those wavelengths. What does that all mean? How can we intuitively grasp something like this, not within the realm of science, not within math, and not within the sort of formulas, but how do we intuitively grasp the meaning of these things? I'm sure that this makes sense if you understand it from a scientific point of view, or if you're like a geophysicist or chemist or things like that, maybe you would have some insight. But like, how do we explain that to your average person like myself so that we can have an aha moment? Whoa, it's like the miracle of all of these, because there's so many specialties within science, within medicine, and all of the knowledge that has been learned throughout all the years. Imagine some dude in like the year 1400 figuring out how viruses work or how chemicals work, or looking in a microscope and seeing bacteria molecules, and devoting their entire life towards understanding that one tiny little thing, and then adding that to the body of scientific knowledge is millions and millions of papers and books, and it's a lot. What the heck, man? So how do we distill all of that? I've heard that there's something called the I've heard there's something called the Akashic Records, where you can instantaneously receive information from the ether, and it's kind of like the Matrix. When they go and download, he learns kung fu in 1 minute and learns everything there is to know about kung fu. It's kind of like that, the Akashic Records, I believe. So you just go to the library, it's in your mind, go to the right row and the right shelf, and you pick the book, and now you know everything there is to know about geophysics in 1 minute, something like that. That'd be cool. I believe it's possible. So one thing that I do know, we all have the latent capacity to know everything. We don't need to spend 100 years studying it to know it. It's just that's how we perfect that knowledge. But the actual intrinsic knowledge is already within us, and it's only through connecting it with what's on the outside it is revealed to us. I'll give you an example. My own life. I've had moments where playing musical instruments that I didn't even know how to play, I could suddenly play them perfectly, like as if I were a Juilliard trained classical musician for 20 years and was playing in, the symphony orchestra. I could do it, but for like a minute. And then it just falls away. So where did that come from? Because that wasn't me. I mean, I didn't learn that in my lifetime. So somehow the knowledge of, well, this is what the string is, this is what all the different sounds and wavelengths are, it's all fundamental. It's all intuitive. There's nothing new about it. So it's like built into our everything. And we're connected to all of that. We're all the same. So me and the piano and the guitar and the violin, it's all the same. We all vibrate, we all resonate, we all have frequencies. And the brain might not know how to connect the dots and the wiring and send the signal to my pinky finger to press down on the string. That takes years and years of practice. But the intuitive grasp of something like that, I think, if we let go of our mind for a second, something can get into a flow state and we can just play it with perfection. I've had that happen to me before. It's really quite remarkable. And that has sort of convinced me that there are other ways of knowing besides studying and learning or being taught something by a master who's already mastered it. We have an inner knowing, I think, on all dimensions. Very interesting stuff. And we tend to spend a lot of time on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and browsing memes. That's cool. That's definitely not the pinnacle, but it's cool. That's cool too. Sometimes I think about, I don't know if you guys ever think about this, how beautiful buildings used to be. How like they were works of art and just with these incredible aesthetic proportions. Same with statues. I got a real thing for statues. I have to tell you, like, what's that one guy? Bernini, I think it was, Italian guy, where the statues were all over there in Rome and everything, Florence. It's so beautiful on some very fundamental level. Like there are these divine proportions, whatever that means, that it's not the same as just throwing a bunch of paint on canvas and saying, yeah, this is perfect, because it all is. And yet those masters of art, architecture, were operating on some very different, to me, symbolic level that had many layers of meaning embedded within each shape. Very cool stuff. I found that fascinating. And it's a lost art, I believe. It's history. It's history. Everything's history now. So, yeah. Light and darkness. So, anyway, I could spend time trying to contemplate these really beautiful, profound things about the human experience, or I could just go back on the internet and browse crappy items that I don't even want to buy, or, yeah, stuff like that. These are some choices we have as a sort of lower or middle class citizen with an internet access. It's like, we all have that now. We all have the internet access. I'm trying not to get, I'm feeling my mood starting to come down because I'm starting to think about all the wars that are going on and all this stuff. It's all happening for a reason, of course. Some people call that copium. Everything happens for a reason. It's all brought us to this point. People say that all the time. It's reassuring. Sometimes it's true. And it's also copium as well because, wow, this fucking sucks. Oh, cool. We just killed human beings just killed another tens of thousands of people. Oh, wow. What are we going to say to that? I try not to bring the vibe down unless the video is supposed to be a negative one, which this one's not. So I'm going to end it here on this note. I was talking about light and darkness. Maybe I'll try and explore it again some more if I can get this brain to work, but it's hard. I'll tell you, I don't know about you guys, but I find it very difficult to get this brain to actually learn and train it to understand things rather than just being bombarded with social media all the time. It's so low effort, so low energy, and low vibe for me. And I don't learn shit from social media. I find learning to be like nourishing. I find social media to be like, it's like eating cardboard. It's so unappetizing and it doesn't give me anything. So there's got to be a better way. I'm going to find that way. And I hope that you have a good day. Thanks. Bye.